Hello and welcome back to Mad Mouse Games. Today I'm going to be painting this three-headed troll, and with this miniature I decided to do something a little bit different than what I've done with most of the other minis that I've done. So most of the other miniatures that I've painted, I've done a base coat first, then a wash, and then done highlights. And with this miniature, I decided to do something a little different, and I decided to try and basically layer the paint. So I started with uh, the skin here, and I started with a green, which I mixed a lot of black with to make it a really, really dark green. And then basically what I did was I would mix a little bit less black with it and then layer that paint on top of this darker layer that I did, so on and so forth until eventually I was putting just the straight green color on with no black added as kind of a highlight. And the other thing I did was I kind of thinned the paint down a little bit with just some water so that it wasn't super thick or anything like that, and so that it was slightly transparent. Just because I wanted to try doing it, see how it turned out and how it looked. And honestly, it ended up being pretty good looking, I thought. With the paints that I use, you could definitely kind of see the graininess of the paint a little bit by the end. Um, but I got it covered up pretty good and I thought it turned out pretty well. So here you can see I started applying the darker green with a bigger brush, and then I just would go through here with just a slightly lighter green and touch up a lot of the higher areas so that this way I didn't have to add a wash to my base coat, because basically what I did was I painted up from being really dark to a lighter and lighter green. Just like you can see me here painting on the shoulder, it's just a slightly lighter green and is somewhat transparent. So when it dries, it would be kind of translucent, and so a lot of the under layer of paint would show through the top layer that I just added. So I could get a really nice gradient from a darker green and kind of the what'd you call it? Kind of like the indents between the different groups of the muscles up until you got to the top of the muscle where it would be a lot lighter. And this was just a technique I wanted to try to see how it would turn out. I will say that it took a lot of time painting this way, a lot of time. I did a lot of off-camera painting, and I tried this technique on his skin and then on the leathery kind of fur coat thing that he's wearing, and a lot of the darker leathers. I did kind of the same kind of process where I did a dark layer and then slowly worked up the highlights, mixing it into the original darker color until you got a nice light highlight on just the very edges or the very, tops or whatever you want to call it of the miniature. And in the end, it ended up looking pretty good. There's definitely a couple of things I would have done differently than what I did here, but I would have just continued doing lighter and lighter layers. And with some of it, I probably would have even started adding a little bit of white. Here's a better shot of a lighter green going on, which luckily they all kind of dried darker than they look because, again, wanted them all to be somewhat transparent. And so in the end, I thought his skin ended up looking really good, and the rest of it. A lot of the other things on this miniature, like the wood and the kind of stone ball with the spikes and things like that, I painted all those the same way I painted everything else, with just a base coat and then kind of a little bit of a wash and a highlight. And so here you can see this is me kind of doing the touch-up final touches on the leather, because you can kind of see where I've done the dark and then the light, and it gets lighter up on the higher edges and ridges and things, and then just a final little highlight where I touched up, which I came back on later and added another little bit of brown to kind of cover up those highlights a little bit so they weren't as bright. But like I said, the rest of the miniature I just painted it as normal. I'll just let you go ahead and enjoy this. If you like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what else you want to see me paint or other techniques you want to see me use, and I can let you know how they go. But for being just a novice kind of painter, doing the skin like this I thought was kind of fun. It ended up looking pretty good, I thought, and was just something new to try. So anyways, thought you'd find it interesting. Again, I'm going to just let you enjoy, have a little bit of music, come back at the end, just talk about a couple other little things, and enjoy. right, so this is the finished product. You can see how I kind of painted the skin, and you can see how it kind of goes from darker to lighter layers. A lot of it with the leather as well. And I thought that ended giving a really nice look to this miniature. Again, if you liked the video, please subscribe, give us a like, and comment what else you want to see me do. And again, thank you for watching, and you have a wonderful day.